Today's fun episode is with Jeff and Jillian. Jeff Holst and Jillian Sidoti. They're both of my good friends. So we just have a fun time shooting the breeze, as some people may call it, right? Just talking about real estate, talking about all kinds of stuff. So enjoy this fun episode. It really was a fun one to record. As always, like and subscribe on Wrestling with Real Estate, the YouTube channel. Go to the WWRE podcast and give me a 5-star rating and write me a review. It really does help us build this platform, so please go ahead and do that. And I'm looking to speak to as many of you as possible. If you're interested in real estate in whatever capacity that is, I'd love to get to know you, see if there's any way I can help you whatsoever. So go ahead and sign up for that. But before all of that, enjoy today's awesome interview with Jeff Holst and Jillian Sidoti. Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all their real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multifamily real estate investor, Barri Griffiths. Now today, I am beyond excited. It's not only just because Santa Claus is coming in a few days, but also I've got an early Christmas present. I got Jeff Holst and Jillian Sidoti joining me today for this awesome, amazing conversation. What's up, guys?
Oh man, you're making me nervous. I'm super nervous now.
I think that's the most energetic intro I've ever done as well, because both of you.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I would have done better, but you know, it's all right.
I should have got you to do it. That could have been.
What is wrong with you, Jeff?
No, I would have been like choke slam. I don't know. That was pretty good though. I'm not gonna lie. And you know what? It's my second time on the show. Is it your second time on the show, Jillian? Did you ever come on before?
No, I didn't. I
okay. I'm just checking to see. Like, I guess I'm more important than you then.
She.
I guess so.
No, definitely not. But you're not more important. It just means that she's worth more. We could only afford her one time. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, you only give me this one time.
that makes sense, because you know I pay her $150 a minute to record the Last Life Ever podcast. She's very expensive.
Yeah, that's pretty cheap.
That would be nice if it was true.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. Jillian pays herself $150 a minute because all of the money for Last Life Ever comes from her.
How did you manage to wangle that?
That's true.
That's a pretty good deal for you.
It is. I'm a master negotiator.
I've noticed. You have some ninja skills, right? Some ninja negotiating skills.
Yeah. Well, we can sometime when Jillian's not around, I'll explain that one to you.
Okay. I'll just mute her. I'll exit her out so she can't hear what we're talking about. So what's going on, guys? What's going on? I was lucky enough, so people that don't know, they should check out Last Life Ever. I was lucky enough to be on an episode 3 months ago, 2 months ago.
Something like that. Yeah, and you know, you can tag it in your show notes if you want.
I absolutely will. Yeah, I'll tag it in the show notes. And I think I interviewed you, Jeff, before, and then you said, "Hey, you should come on Last Life Ever." I was like,
that's exactly right. Yeah,
and then I met Jillian, and it was awesome.
Yeah, no, it really was. And I'm getting you on my show. I'm sorry we had to cancel. I have this other show, Old Fashioned Real Estate, as you know, Barry and Jillian. But on that show, I invited Barry on like 4 times now, and we keep having to cancel. The most recent time, because my co-host got the corona. So that one I kind of...
That was really inconsiderate of him. Huh?
That, I know. It's like, next time I'm just going to record without you. You want to be a new host of my show. You let me know.
I would love to, but I can't drink bourbon. It would make me too sick. So that's me out, I guess, right?
You know what? Like iced tea and a cherry? No.
I'll pretend. Yeah, we can pretend. So, but hey, Last Life Ever, right? So for people who don't know, which is awesome, right? I love lifestyle. I love the concept. I love what you guys are doing. For people who don't know, right? And everybody should, but there might be some people who don't know. You want to give a kind of an idea about why you guys started it, what it's all about? Because it's really cool to me.
Jillian?
Yeah, well, I would say, so basically Jeff really started Last Life Ever. What happened was I met with him in Tennessee, and he had mentioned to me, I'm a former bankruptcy attorney. Like I used to be a bankruptcy attorney. And he goes, and then I just decided I didn't want to practice law anymore. And and I wanted to, you know, figure out something else to do with my life. And so I figured out doing real estate investing. And I remember hearing him say that and thinking, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I'm miserable doing this. And I had been for a couple of years, but I kept on doing it because I had, you know, employees to think of, the money was good. You know, stuff, the clients were, you know, most of the time great. And I felt like this pressure and this obligation to all these people to continue practicing law. And when I started talking to Jeff, and he said, I'm thinking about doing this podcast called Last Life Ever. And he started explaining to me that the concept of the podcast was to show people a way to live the best version of their lives. And I thought, oh my God, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I want to show people to live the best version of their own lives, but I have to live the best version of my own life first. I mean, I really did it for me more than anybody else. Like, I wanted to learn how to live the best version of my life. And so that's what we really do, is we interview people who will bring you those stories in a variety of different ways. And, you know, just encourage you to do things that you would otherwise think are out of your reach. And the things, like, I feel like the farther you get into adulthood, right, the harder it is to kind of conceptualize changing something. Change becomes even more difficult. So for me, I feel like even when we're presenting like really simple things on the program on Last Life Ever, we are asking people to do a lot. We're asking them to make changes in their life. You know, it might be as little as small as like getting a better night's sleep, and doing the things that it requires, and developing the habits that it requires in order to get a better night's sleep. Changing your habits, the older you get, the harder it is. And then to like adopting children, or, you know, taking children out of the foster care system, or starting, we interviewed one guy that was who had a great job as the head of and I'm talking about Mike Flowers, Jeff, who was the head of, you know, security.
Well, he worked in security at Walmart.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and it was a really good job. He was high up there in the ranks, and he quit that job to start and liquidated his life to start a missionary, or to join a missionary in like North Dakota or South Dakota. I'm sorry if I don't remember.
Dakota, yeah, and so
which Dakota it was, but in the Dakotas.
Yeah. It's North Dakota. And I mean, the thing about Mike is that was really cool is like Mike and Libby. I mean, I know them personally, so I know this about them. They're very genuine people, but the thing is, they literally sold everything they had except for their house that was upside down in the middle of a recession. That's the only reason they didn't sell it. It's because they couldn't sell it, right? They owed more than it was worth. They sold everything, paid off all of their short-term debts and obligations, and then took a leap of faith and went to live in you know, essentially on a Native American reservation, or a, you know, local Indian tribe, you know, where they could do this mission work and help these people out. And they've been there now for like 15 years. And they literally had to, they cashed out their 401ks and everything.
That's nuts.
I mean, and just to have that sort of like, and you know, I know them, they were in their like mid 40s when they did that. Like, that's hard to imagine. Like most people don't do what Jillian just did. And Jillian like kind of undersells it, right? Like, yes, I told her you can quit practicing law. And like, I modeled that, right? Like, I had done it myself, but I did it because I got sick. Like, I had leukemia, thought I was going to die, and realized I had a life-changing moment where I was like, whoa, I have to do something else. I don't want to do something I don't love if I'm going to die like next year. Right? Like, that was my thing. And Jillian doesn't have that. Like she has to make this decision just because she knows that she's not doing what she wants to do. She's not living out her life's purpose. And to me, I think that's way harder than what I did. Like, it's actually shocking that she's been able to do that.
Yeah, no,
that's why we interviewed you on the show, right? Because you've done all these really cool and interesting things, and most people don't follow their passion. You were like, I want to be a wrestler. Like, and then you went and became a wrestler. That's pretty crazy. Like, people don't do that. I mean, I know some people do, but those people are like The Rock and Barry Griffiths. Like, that's about it, right?
Yeah, no, but it's so much fascinating stuff in there, because it's like, for one, I'm crazy passionate about like creating whatever life you want for yourself, right? It's just unbelievable. Like, literally to this day, like, it's hard to believe that that concept is real and attainable, unbelievably attainable. Like, every single one of us, right, especially if we're born here in America, has the ability to take control of your life and make it into whatever you want it to be. Like, it's nuts. Like, think about that.
It is. It's insane, right?
It's nuts. Yeah.
No, like,
people realize it enough, to be honest with you.
Oh, I know. It's like, I mean, Jillian and I were talking about this last year, or maybe in March or something of this year, like right around the beginning of the pandemic. We were listening to another podcast where they interviewed Hugh Jackman. You remember this Hugh Jackman interview, Jillian? And
I do.
Hugh,
I do.
Yeah, it was fascinating. I think it was the summer, actually. So Hugh Jackman was talking about how like every day he manifests his day. He sits down in the morning and writes out what his day was like. He writes it in past tense at the beginning of the day. He does it every single day. And he talked about how he started doing that. And by doing that, that's how he got to be like a famous actor and like Wolverine and stuff. He just started saying, I went to this, he would, in the morning, he'd wake up and be like, today I'm going to audition for this part and I'm going to kill it. You know, but instead of saying that, he'd be like, today I went in front of this director and this is what happened and this is how it worked out. And he loved what I did. Like, write it in past tense at the beginning of the day. And I was like, that is just insane. I wish I was doing that. Still wish I was doing that. I want to get Hugh Jackman on. So since you're probably friends with him because you're like famous and stuff, and every famous person knows each other, as we know, can you get him on my show, please?
Of course, consider it done.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
He'll be cheaper than Jillian as well.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he will.
Oh my God, you guys, so ridiculous.
But you know what's I think is cool about what you guys are doing as well is like, there's so many aspects that you can improve in your life, right? And it doesn't need to be like, hey, let me quit my job, let me revamp my life, right? And if you want to do that and go after it, awesome. Like, that's amazing. But it can come down to a simple nights of sleep, right? Or changing your habit or working out. Like, you guys are walking every morning now, right? It's kind of you guys are doing a live Facebook and I think live Instagram on just going for a walk. Like, these simple things can literally by themselves change your life, change the trajectory of your life. Because as you guys said there, right, no doubt, the older you get, the harder it is because you get beat down by life, right? You get closer to retirement, so you're worried about that, those kind of things. You family influences, friends influences, all these noise around you. When you're 18, right, you don't have a care in the world, so it's easy to go out there and do something crazy or what. It's not easy, but easier, right, to do all this crazy stuff, right? But you're in your mid 40s and you want to try and change career paths and try something that is not standard that everyone else would think that that's okay to do, right? Because I think a lot of it is the outside noise that makes everything hard, right? The weight of expectation of society, of your family, of friends, all that stuff is kind of hard sometimes, I feel like.
Oh, I think so. And I actually think that what makes it really hard is that you failed before. Like, the more times you fail, the harder it is to take risk. It's really easy to get beat down by things that didn't work out how you thought they were going to work out. And a lot of times those things are your own fault, right? Like, you didn't try hard enough, you didn't keep at it long enough. But the reality is people get beat down by like not getting what they want fast enough. And then they just give up and they start saying, oh, I'm just unlucky. Life doesn't work out for me, whatever it is. And it just gets harder. I mean, it just keeps getting harder all the time. Actually, I read recently, and I haven't verified this, but like I read on like a meme or something, but it said something to the effect of, actually, I think it was in a book now that I think about it, but the basic concept was that people in their early 20s, like 75% of them make New Year's resolutions, right? And people in their 40s, it's like 50%, and people in their 70s, it's like 10%. That just shows you how, if you start failing at stuff, how easy it is to be like, oh, well, that didn't work out, so it's pointless.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you hear that? I hear that.
No, I mean, 2020 has made it really hard too.
I'm sure, yeah.
I'm
But you hear
sorry,
real estate all the
Barry.
time
This
as
is
well.
your show.
No, no, it's not my show. No. I want to hear you guys. The last thing people want to hear is my voice, I'm sure. But with that, it's so true, Jeff. Like you said, I hear it in real estate all the time. How often do you hear someone say, "Oh, my dad doesn't want to invest in real estate. He bought rentals 10 years ago, and the tenants trashed the place, and he lost money." Well, yeah, that can happen, but what's the bigger story behind that? Did your dad just put tenants in there without vetting them? Did he have no reserves? Did he not, buy that property in the right area? Like, there's more to it. And I think, like you said, right, that ends up as a real estate example, but that ends up in people quitting. Like, real estate's not for me. I hate real estate. It's the dumbest investment ever. Well, it's not. Did you just not do your homework? Did you not do it right? And I feel like that
or just didn't learn from your mistakes. Like the trick to life is just to get better. Like if you just keep getting better, and that's what Last Life Ever is about. It's just make consistent incremental improvements. What you were saying earlier, like you don't have to quit your job and change careers. Like if you're in the career that you love, you shouldn't quit your job and change careers, right? I think when I was explaining this to Jillian a year or so ago, when I was first telling her the concept, I said, it's living the best version of your life, whatever that means to you. Yeah. I don't say that enough, but it's true. Like if your goal is to be a server at, a diner somewhere, and you're a server at a diner somewhere and you just love your job, you love your customers, it's just fun for you, then that's what you should do. I just don't think most Waffle House servers, like that's their dream job. Like if it is, that's awesome. But in a lot of cases, it's not.
Yeah, but I mean, for years before we started doing Last Life Ever, when I was in like the misery of practicing law, and I never really said I'm miserable practicing law. I said it out loud a couple of times to a couple of people, and it was like met with like people clutching their pearls, like, but you make so much money, and people like you, and and it's like, yeah, but I hate it. So I stopped telling people I was miserable and started telling people my dream job is to be a barista at Starbucks, because I meant it. Like
yeah,
it really was my dream job.
That's the thing. Like until I was doing Last Life Ever, my favorite job was working third shift at a 7-Eleven. Like I loved working third shift at a 7-Eleven. Like I could sit around and drink coffee and like shoot the crap with like random people that came in, maybe go outside and have a cigarette. I don't smoke anymore, but I did back then. It was just a nice, chill, relaxing job, and it was really fun. The problem with it was it didn't fund my lifestyle the way it is. And Jillian has a sort of mentor, a friend, a coworker, I don't know what you call him, but Tony Pinnell's, Dr. Tony Pinnell's, and he always says that the trick to life is learning to buy back your time as fast as possible. Just figure out how to buy back your time. And I agree 100% on that. Like, because the thing is, you can't be a barista with the lifestyle that Jillian lives unless you have like a huge amount of savings, right? Or other investments. And the only reason that it works is because you bought back your time. You don't actually have to be a barista. You can just, you can just not work if you want, right? Like that's how you can afford to be a barista with kids and living in Southern California.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
exactly.
Why barista? Why is that your dream job out of it?
Because she didn't have any imagination. If she was going to say it now, we know she would say her dream job is to do a podcast with Jeffrey Holst.
Yeah, no, why? I'll tell you exactly why. Because you walk in to a job where your sole purpose is to brighten people's day by handing them they wake up, they're miserable, they're going to work, and you're handing them something that could change their day right then and there. It perks them up, it makes them happy. All you have to do is make sure you get their order right, and you've made somebody's day, right? And then you know what you do? You take your little green apron off, you put it under the counter, and you're out of work at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you leave everything behind you in that Starbucks. There's no paperwork to do afterwards. There's no follow-up. There's nobody to make sure that their coffee didn't burn them when they drove off out of the drive-through. There's none of that. It's just done. You show up, you do your job, you make people's day brighter, you leave, it's over, and you have the rest of your day.
It's exactly why I liked working third shift at a 7-Eleven, except for I'm a night person and not a morning person like you. So that's why I was third shift instead of a barista. But no, listen, Jillian, all fairness, like we know now your real dream job is to serve like fruity cocktails on the beach, right? It's not really to be a barista.
Oh yeah, I've changed it to like a tiki bar bartender. And these are people, tiki bar bartender, like depending on where you are, if you're like in a tourist location, like these are people you'll never see again. So you get to develop these relationships with people who are, and then maybe be friendly with them on Facebook later or whatever. Or, if there's or the other side of that is if you get a crappy client, crappy customer, they're never coming back. They're getting back on the cruise ship and bye.
That's right. The cruise port, cruise port tiki bar is better than like a fixed point island tiki bar. You want to be at a cruise port so that those people come in, because the other thing that happens is the cruise ship leaves at 5 p.m. and you're off early and you can go swim, like watch the sunset on the beach. So like it's perfect. Like you want to.
But then also the fixed point tiki bar, right? Usually those are losers and dogs and rely on locals and are poorly run and end up on bar rescue.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you need to be the cruise port. That's although, hey, as long as you're famous, Barry, can you get that guy from Bar Rescue to come on Last Life Ever for us?
Yeah, whatever you need.
Yeah, you know him, right? Like,
I'm right. So Hugh Jackman, Bar Guy Rescue Guy, just keep the list coming, man.
Wait, what's that guy's name? John Topher or something, right? Topher, is that his name?
Yeah, John Tapper. Yeah, John
Tapper, yeah. So John Tapper.
Yeah.
And listen, Hugh Jackman. Let's do The Rock too, because I know you're tight with him.
Yeah.
Let's see who else.
Keep thinking.
Yeah, I'll keep thinking.
While you're thinking, let me ask Jillian a question, right? So Last Life Ever, you guys have been doing it for a while. It's awesome, right? But like obviously you guys looking at the big picture, and you get people from all kinds of different walks of life and talking with people, and you have an awesome community. What are some of the like big things that you've learned from doing this? Because I'm sure there's been a lot, some big takeaways that you can share with people. So that
like honestly, one of the big mistakes I'd say we made is we didn't invest quickly, or we didn't invest in ourselves quickly and early and get this, we kind of just piecemealed everything together. And I wish that we found a support system and put together a better like timeline of potential events of how we expected for things to go. We were definitely like blindsided by coronavirus, but I can't really, at this point, I refuse to make that as an excuse. I mean, so one of my big goals is to go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, like, you're answering a completely different question than Barry asked. So I'm just going to cut in and answer his question for you.
Oh, sorry.
His question was, if I understood it correctly, was like, what are the things that we learned from the guests that we had, not from the mistakes we made? We don't need to admit to all of our mistakes. Well, I don't disagree with
that too. That works too. That's okay too.
Yeah, like I don't disagree with you. We could have done better. We're working on improving, right? Listen, Jillian and I didn't run Last Life Ever until this year, and we didn't know what we didn't know, and we're learning from it. Yeah. And that goes back to the central core philosophy of Last Life Ever, though, and that is just keep getting better incrementally. Like make do the effort, take the changes, don't be afraid. And like that's what we're doing now. We're making course corrections, right? So I always figure that anything that's really, really important to you, the hardest thing is getting started. It's like if you're a rocket ship and you want to launch to the International Space Station, right? Like you burn 80-90% of your fuel just getting into orbit. It doesn't matter if you're off by 20,000 miles when you get to orbit, because you don't need very much fuel once you're started. Right? Once you get that momentum, you can just make these little course corrections. That's where we are with Last Life Ever now. Now, as far as the question you asked, Barry, to me, the big takeaways are that doesn't actually matter what people we talk to. There are central themes that seem to be reoccurring. One is they're doing things that they love, right? Like the people that are doing things that are extraordinary to us, the things that we're most impressed by, it's because they're passionate about it for whatever reason. If it could be that they suffered some kind of tragedy. We interviewed a person who lost his son in Afghanistan and started a charity for veterans. We interviewed a person who lost his son in an accidental drowning, a young child, right? And he started a pool safety and water safety charity. So people that do stuff like that, it's amazing, right? But the reason that they're amazing is because they're channeling whatever they went through and they're moving forward with it. But we also interviewed people like a WWE wrestler who grew up in a tiny town in Wales, right? Yeah. Like that's in like and like the reason that guy was impressive is because no matter what life threw at him, he was going to pursue the things that were important to him, right? Like when he told his story, he said, I wanted to be a wrestler, so I became a wrestler. That's cool. Like, and then I thought I was going to be champion of the world, right? And then it didn't happen. And so what did he do? He pivoted into a completely different career as a cirque performer, and then also started a real estate career and a podcast. Right. But the point is, the only reason people are the people that's another one of the themes. Like you have to overcome adversity, whatever it is. That's one theme. A next theme is you just keep doing it. Like if you believe in what you're doing, you keep doing it. Like that's another theme. So to me, I mean, there are other themes that came up, but to me, the most interesting thing is it doesn't matter if you're a famous comedian or somebody who's just an expert at getting a good night's sleep. We've interviewed both those categories. The reason they're good at what they do is because they love what they're doing. And like that, to me, those are the most impressive people in the world, the people that do things they love.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, because it doesn't matter what you do, right? If you're famous or not, if you're doing what you love, there's plenty of famous people that hate what they do, I'm sure.
Right? Oh yeah, for sure there are.
But
well, no, and I mean, look at I think about people who've committed suicide. I mean, Chris Cornell, and this is in the music industry, but Chris Cornell and Chester, I'm gonna forget his last name, but the guy from Linkin Park, Chris Cornell was on tour, and Chester Bennington, I think it was Bennington, he was about to go on tour, and they both committed suicide. I mean, and they both had kids.
And it's not just in the music industry, right? It's like, it doesn't matter. Right. I mean, and I think there's something to be different about, like, some people have like legitimate, like, mental health issues that are unresolved, unaddressed. Right. But you hear about people like Anthony Bourdain, like I think his life is amazing. Like I would love to get paid to be on TV and eat food around the world. Like that sounds like a pretty good job. Right. And like he was really good at it and was very successful, had books and everything. And then, same thing, it just it strikes you as like so sad when you see stuff like that. But the reality is it's no more sad when Anthony Bourdain kills himself than when some random person we never heard of does. The only difference is it seems more real to us because it's a personality we know. And so I feel like, that's another thing. Like people have to deal with the situation that they're in, and they have to get the help they need. That's another thing. Almost every single one of our guests talked about either coaches, mentors, role models that made positive impacts and helped them along their way. And I think that's another huge takeaway is you don't do this by yourself. Like I can't do Last Life Ever without Jillian. I can't. I can't do it. I know this for sure.
By herself is just that you couldn't, I think.
Yeah, that's true. She probably could do it by herself.
No, that's not true at all. But I will say this. I mean, because I weaseled my way into Last Life Ever. I mean, I never really got to that. But I asked Jeff, I said, Jeff, what you want to do is what I want to do. And I see that you want to do it, but you're not doing it. And I think if I came along, we could do it. We would actually do it.
That's not how that conversation went at all. Nice try, though. The conversation went like
it was this. Really how it went.
Yeah, this is how the conversation went. I told her about Last Life Ever when we were both drunk. because we had filmed an episode of my other show, right? And we were in an Uber on the way back to the conference.
Oh, and I hadn't drank in 60 days.
Yeah, I broke her 60-day alcohol fast. She was drinking bourbon old fashions through a straw. That's how little she was drinking back then.
Wow.
And
because I don't even drink bourbon when I do drink. So to drink bourbon was like a real big step for me.
Yeah, no, we appreciated it though. But anyway, so we're a little tipsy. We're not like wasted drunk, right? But we're a little tipsy. And I'm telling her about, just like you do when you're getting to know someone you don't know, and you very well. I'm telling her about my life. She's telling me about her life. We both have similarities. Like we're both lawyers, so we have that in common. We talked about law school, all this kind of stuff, right? And we're like around the same age. And I mean, she's a lot older than me, but same kind of thing. And hey, you're almost 43. Just keep that in mind.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's like a week. It's like 2 weeks away. I've already bought your birthday present. I have. It's a great going, Jeff. It's a great birthday. Anyway, so the thing is, what Jillian doesn't like to tell people is that the reason I was like, it would be like, it's like when I met Barri Griffiths in Vegas, right? It's like hanging out with royalty, like I feel amazed that these people even want to hang out with me. And Jillian is like this huge deal and like super popular and like speaking at both conferences that I had been to that week. Me, I'm just like a nobody. And here we are having these conversations. And, Jillian's expertise is really in security law, right? That's what she was doing back then before she got out of law. And I do a dabble in that a little bit, but not on the law side, like on raising money and stuff, like for syndications. And then she starts messaging me on Facebook, like, hey, we have to talk. That's what she says. Hey, we have to talk. And I'm like, crap, did I do something wrong? Am I going to get arrested? Does Jillian just trying to be nice and warn me that I've done some like horrible violation of like, something, right? And I'm like, I respond with, should I be worried? That's what I say. And then she responds with, no, I just want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. She's like, call me. And I'm like, I don't even have your number. Like, how would I have your number? So I give her my number. She calls me and she's like, hey, so last life ever, I want to do that with you. That's how the conversation went. It was just, I want to do that with you. And I was like, well, I already started filming a podcast. Like I already had recorded an episode. Like, and you're, and
with David.
No, it was actually with a guest that we've never recorded an episode with. The one that stood us up that one time. Right. So I'd recorded this one episode and I know, I was going to wait until I got back I was going to go to Africa in the winter, and this was in the fall last year. And so I was waiting until I got back from Africa, and I was going to start rolling out this podcast. So I'd started kind of pre-filming, like you do, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. And I registered the domain, and I was working on a book that I still haven't come out with. That's mostly done. So I had done this stuff. And then Jillian's like, well, I want to do it with you. And I just kind of went, Jillian's super famous. If she wants to do it with me, it's going to help. So, okay. And that's how she got into the podcast.
I wish you would stop saying that. I'm going to break out in hives. I am not super famous, and I don't even understand where this came from.
Well, no, I agree. Now that I know you, I realize I was completely wrong and I made a terrible mistake letting you into the company. But at the time, I thought you were super famous because you had been on stage twice in that weekend. This totally went
in a direction that I was not wanting, but but that's basically it. But you know what, I just mentioned David Grabner, and something I learned from David Grabner is, and this isn't something we talked about in the podcast, but David was our first interview, and he was the youngest person at one point when he did it, at the time that he did it, he was the youngest person ever to kayak the Zambezi River. But beyond that, David also like managed like hospitals and work, and his parents were missionaries, and what David proved to me is that you actually don't need money to do extraordinary things. You just need to have a will to do those things. So I feel like my attitude towards money is changing a little bit, and I think if you read even 4 Hour Workweek, although it's an older book and Tim Ferriss is like super rich, Tim Ferriss's concept of 4-hour work week is you can live the life you want and you really don't need to have a whole heck of a lot of money to do it, you know. So I think that's one thing that I have struggled with. Yeah,
that's actually that's one of those reoccurring themes, and that's what I was saying. Like the biggest takeaway to me is there's certain reoccurring themes. David Grabner absolutely did amazing things with very little money. He's become successful since, because that's another reoccurring theme is if you're the type of person that goes out and does amazing things, you're probably going to become successful. Like it just sort of happens, right? But we've had other guests, like we had April and Neil on, right? Like they do amazing things with very little money, right? Like bring people in off the street and rehabilitate them and like do this sort of open door parenting thing. Amazing things. Before they were doing that, they were literally carnies, right? Like they ran a carnival. Like I don't know what carnies make, but I'm gonna guess they didn't get super rich being carnival technicians, right? Like running rides at a carnival. No, I mean, I'm sure they did okay and everything, but the point is like they did all this amazing stuff. And then like Mike Pearson is another example of this, or Mike Flowers for that matter, right? Like Mike Flowers is the missionary that sold everything he had, didn't have any money, he was broke. And he's done this amazing thing. He started this whole mission, and he's developed this, sort of amazing environment where they have, volunteers and they, fix roofs for poor people. And I mean, all this stuff that you think you need money to do, but apparently you don't actually need to be that well off to do these things. And it's like that that's one of those reoccurring themes. And it's amazing talking to people, and you know this too because you've been doing a show for a while. The getting to know people that are doing things that are inspirational to you makes you a better person. It's unbelievable.
It inspires you, and it makes you, and it makes you like, it's that proximity, right, to all these people that are doing these things, right? Like same with real estate. We take real estate, right, because my focus is mainly on real estate. The proximity to all these successful people, like you almost feel embarrassed not to be more successful, right? You feel guilty for not pursuing your dreams more and not achieving it quicker and not like being more, right? And it's not all about money, like you guys are saying, right? It's just being more for yourself, right? Because real estate for me is just a vehicle, right? I love real estate itself. I love the vehicle, but it's a vehicle for me to live a better, improved life. And as you guys pointed out, that's not the key and that's not the most important thing, but it's definitely can help, right? Why not, right? If I'm going to live the best life for myself, why not pursue that avenue and create that life for myself? But I completely agree. Money doesn't mean anything, right? It just sometimes makes things easier, right? I think more than anything, but it's not the key to everything. So, but the question I have for you guys, right, is for people listening, hopefully people are loving this, right? People who haven't tapped into you guys' network and into you guys' Facebook and into the live and every podcast and everything that you guys do. So for one, if they haven't, they should, and I'll link everything into the show notes and the description. But like, if someone is at that point in their life, and I'm sure there's a lot of people, right? They're not happy, they're not fulfilled in their life, and they're, they see their life heading in just one direction, and one streak of misery, like constantly, right? What are some things that you guys suggest to people? And I'm not saying that you guys are coaches or advisors. You guys are just trying to help people, right? And trying to open people's eyes. Have you worked with people like that? Have you made suggestions? And what would you suggest to someone who is kind of in that situation?
Well, so
I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so just like this week, so we have a happy hour that we do. Just this week, Jillian and I had a happy hour where a young man who's in his early 20s came on the happy hour. And it started telling us he just wasn't all that, like, he wasn't that happy with what he was doing. Like, he was in school and he had a job and he made good money, but he wasn't doing as well in school as he thought. And he originally thought that he wanted to do one thing and he wasn't sure. And he felt all this pressure to sort of finish. And we were just like, well, don't think you're not a failure if you change your strategy. You're not a failure if you change your mind. And so like the best piece of advice I can give someone is really from my own life. And that is, one, like, stuff's not going to always go exactly how you want. And the only thing you can do is deal with whatever it is that happened. Right. And that means if you made a bad decision in the past, it might be on you, but it doesn't really matter. Like, all that matters is what you decide to do right now. And if that means you need to drop out of school and change careers, or start writing that book that you meant to write 30 years ago that you never wrote, if you're 70 years old and you want to, you're Colonel Sanders and you decide to start a chicken store at 68, it's okay, right? Like, yeah, maybe Colonel Sanders would have been more successful if he started a chicken restaurant when he was 20, but he didn't. He decided to do it when he was 68. Okay, or 65 or whatever he was, right? And so I would say, like, to me, the trick for you, if you're not happy with where you are, is figure out where you want to go and then like start going there. Just do it. Don't wait, just do it.
Yeah. Jillian, what do you think?
No, I mean, I think that's a great story that Jeff told, because that kid actually, Jeff and I were both told him, take it from us, two people who probably, should have really reevaluated. I mean, I went to law school so I could make money, period. That's it. That's my only reason. I didn't have this passion for the law. I didn't love the law. I didn't have any of that. I was like, I need to have a higher education. Like, I was conditioned to believe I need a higher education. I could go get an MBA, or I could get a law degree. I'll probably make more money as a lawyer. I'll do that. Like, I never had this burning desire to be a lawyer or anything like that. And what we told him was, like, if you don't possess this burning desire to be in school right now, then you should quit, because you're just wasting time and money, and go do something else. Do not waste time, because we're not promised tomorrow, right? I mean, how many people do we know? I know a guy here in town who who died of COVID. He didn't really die of COVID, though. Actually, what happened was he died of cancer that was then exacerbated by COVID, and he didn't even know he had cancer. He found out he had cancer. Well, everyone found out he had cancer when he died. He died. And to me, like, that just goes to show, a young guy, like, my phone's about to fall, like early 50s, and he leaves behind, like, two young kids and a wife, and to me, I look at that and go, you know what, we're just not promised tomorrow.
We lost her audio, I think.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
No, it's okay. You're back now. But you're right? You're not promised tomorrow. I mean, we interviewed a guy by the name of Josh Gordon maybe a month ago or so, and Josh co-wrote a book with David Prentice. David, successful guy in his he was 30, like, diagnosed with a brain tumor, fought it like crazy, but eventually ended up dying from the brain cancer. And he's young. I mean, I think he was 30 when he died, right? 28, he was diagnosed. He died at 30, and just earlier this fall. And an inspirational guy, did amazing things, helped tons of people get into homes. That was like a passion of his, real estate investor, but his real passion was helping people that were disadvantaged figure out how to buy homes. Wow. That's what he did. He would fix up homes, and then really help homeless people get homes. Like, and he made money doing that. And he was obviously, I mean, I never met him, so I can't say, like, but I mean, but reading his story, talking to his friend, Josh, I know that the world is significantly better off because he was alive. But what if he had been like, oh, I'm going to do this, like, when I'm 40? Because, like, a lot of people are like, well, once I get a certain amount of money, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Well, if you say, when I get X, Y, and Z, I'm going to do this other thing. What happens if you do die when you're 30? Like, I was diagnosed with leukemia at 30. That was a wake-up call for me. If I had died then, I would not have been a successful person, period. I'm fortunate I didn't die.
But do you think that also springboarded you to do everything that you've done, or do you think you'd still be working that same job, maybe living a more average life?
No, I would be a depressed, probably poor bankruptcy attorney.
But here you are, international jet setter, billionaire real estate tycoon.
No, I'm just a happy, poor former bankruptcy attorney now.
Well, that's an awesome podcast, right? Yeah, but it's true, right? It's like the older you get, right, the more you realize how short life is, right? When you're young, time goes by kind of slow, right? Not slow, but the younger you are, the slower the time goes by. As you get older, I've found this out, is like time is just ridiculous. A year is nothing now. A year is nothing now, right? It literally goes by in a blink of an eye, and a decade goes by even quicker almost sometimes, and it's just nuts.
It's crazy, yeah.
You just don't realize how short life is, right? And you, like you said, even if you live to an average age, whatever that is, 80, 85, right? That can be over in a blink of an eye, and you don't want to be in your friggin' 80s sitting in a retirement home somewhere wishing and hoping that you've done more with your life, right? Because that's you have, and the thing is here is that we're talking about is like, it's such a huge and important subject, like we're joking around and stuff like that, but it's everything that you guys are doing with Last Life Ever is just taking hold of your life, right? And it doesn't mean frigging being a billionaire, right? But it just can mean just living somewhat of a better life than you already have. And that when you're older, then at least you can look back, and that's not the only reason to do it, of course, it's to enjoy now, but you don't want to be that person. I feel like when you're 80 looking back, I wish I could have done more, when you absolutely could have, you know. And I think going back to what you talked about, that guy who's going to college and whatever and feels like he wants to quit or whatever, I think the problem is, again, and one of the many problems is that the weight of expectations of people, and I know I said it earlier, but he probably has friends and family that think that, oh, he's going to college or he's going to be successful, right? Same with you, Jillian, right? I'm sure it was the same with you, right? Or she's going to law school, or she's brilliant, she's going to live amazing life, she's doing the right thing, she's, you know what I mean, she's doing what everyone wishes they could, right? But that's not the reality of it, right? It's just what everyone else thinks that. And I think it's hard for some people to change courses, not only themselves and to pull themselves out of the situation, but because of everyone else's opinion and thoughts of what you should be and how you should live your life.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right.
Well, I think the big thing is, yeah, and the thing is, like, something I've learned over the past year is about, you know, identifying as a certain thing, like identifying as a lawyer. Like, I identify as a lawyer, and I'm so worried about what people think of me as a lawyer. Well, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters what kind of lawyer I was, to be honest with you. I mean, I hope people think of me as being, you know, a good lawyer and a good advocate for them, but it doesn't actually matter. What matters is if I was a good human being. You know, if I treated my fellow man with respect, and dignity and integrity, and I conducted myself with integrity, I think those are the things that really matter. And you know, I looked at that in a lot of ways in being a lawyer. Not that I didn't do anything, but I just felt like in a lot of ways I wasn't being the best I could be. I wasn't being, and this is being, having another identity, but I wasn't being the best mother or wife that I could be, or friend or family member, or just member of society that I could be, because I was taking up all this time trying to be this lawyer thing. And I'm not, you know, my role as a lawyer, I wasn't advocating for the poor or the disenfranchised or, you know, the wrongfully accused. I was, you know, helping business people build their business, which is still honorable. But I just felt like there was more I could do. And that's why I made the change.
Yeah, and listen, and I think this stuff becomes easier, and that's what's so great about Last Life Ever and about the people we've been exposed to. Like, Jillian and I have had the honor to talk to people that have done this stuff, right? And we're able to see that it's possible. And by sharing that with the world, right, with the Last Life Ever community, we're giving other people exposure to that. Like Frank McKinney is a perfect example of this. So we interviewed Frank McKinney. I don't know if you know him, but he's like a 7-time international best-selling author, sort of like a real estate rock star kind of guy. And he talked about exactly what Jillian's saying. It's about humanizing people. And he talked about how we interviewed him not about his real estate investing, not about his book sales. We interviewed him about the fact that when he was on a book tour, he decided to take and trade places with homeless people. So he, instead of staying in a fancy hotel, he would find a homeless person and be like, you get to stay in my fancy hotel tonight. I'm going to go live where you live. And he did that over and over and over again to find humanity in these people, to get to the point where he could recognize them personally as real people. And he taught us, the whole interview was really, we thought it was going to be about like, what was it like to be homeless? And it was instead, it's really, really important to see humanity in everyone, to look for the commonality between you and the person that you're dealing with. And he gave us some really practical tips, things that like I still think about like regularly. Like when I see people that are begging on a street corner, like I think of Frank McKinney and I think, what would Frank do right now? That's what I want to do. What would Frank do? And then he wrote this amazing chapter in our book, The Coronavirus Collective, which Jillian and I put together this year with all these different authors from all around the world, about what they were doing to process the coronavirus and the shutdown and how they were staying positive. And he wrote this amazing chapter about aspiring to be better and how he set role models that were not even real people, right? Like he modeled himself after Robin Hood. Right. He said, I want to take from the rich and give to the poor. And his way of doing that was like, I'm going to go sell really expensive houses and I'm going to use those profits that I make. Right. I'm not going to steal from them. I'm just going to sell expensive houses and I'm going to donate that money to people that don't have houses in Haiti. So he's built these sustainable communities in Haiti with the profits. And I think he has a new book coming out. So people should look him up. frankmckinney.com, I'm pretty sure is what it is. His new book, Aspire, he told Jillian and I was inspired by the chapter in our book. So like who knows what the benefit of what we're doing is, right? Like, and that's the thing that encourages me. Like, even though Jillian and I admit that we've made all kinds of mistakes and we haven't got the reach that we should have, and we haven't done the things that we should have, right? She talked about that. We've been impacted by our guests, and now we know for sure they've been impacted by us, and those people are amazing people doing amazing things. And so if Frank McKinney goes and writes a new book and sells a bunch of copies and saves a bunch of people's lives because of it, then we played a tiny little part in it and makes the whole thing worthwhile. And that's where I get, like, to me, if you're doing what's right for you, you're going to benefit the world. You're going to give your unique perspective to the world, and the world becomes better because of it. And that's just one little tiny piece of evidence that that's true.
Yeah, that's cool. Wow, what a cool story. About I haven't listened to that podcast, but I want to listen to that for sure.
Oh, you should. Yeah, for sure. And you should check him out too, because he's he's an inspirational guy. He's an amazing guy, actually. And I'm really excited about his new book. I'm like, it sounds amazing. So comes out next month, I think. So
awesome. Well, we got to wrap up in a second, but before we do, what's happening in 2021 with Last Life Ever? What's coming in next for you guys?
I'm hoping that we just keep bringing the same great guests and content that will like feed people. I mean, I got so excited when that young man who we talked to on that happy hour wrote us and told us we totally changed his perspective on how he viewed life and how to go through life. And I'm hoping, that what the best thing I can do is that I can, relay these things and the mistakes I've made, or the chances I've missed, and relay that to somebody else and say, don't, do whatever you are passionate about, and don't wait. And also the other message being, it's never too late. Start now. Just start now. And I'm hoping we can come out with some more events and hopefully we can see you, Barri, because we had such a good time in Vegas, and we were hoping to do that event in January. And now it's not working out because of coronavirus, but we're just going to keep writing. We're going to keep writing. We're going to keep doing podcasts, and hopefully eventually we'll be all together and we can do some events.
Yeah, no, for sure. So
Jeffrey?
So for me, where I think, first of all, I agree 100% with what Jillian said. Like, if we impact one person's life positively in 2021, that justifies doing it. To me, like, I don't need, like, I'm going to live. Like, I have money, I pay my bills. Like, if Last Life Ever is just an expensive hobby for me, I'm okay with that. Right? I really am. Do I want to make money? Sure. Do I want to grow? Yeah. Because I think the world rewards people for providing value. And if we're providing the value that I know we have, and some of that's from our experience, like Jillian was alluding to, and some of that's from just our connections and our relationships with people, being able to bring people like Frank McKinney to a different audience, right? Being able to bring people like Barry Griffiths to a different audience, right? Like we don't know, like we know people you don't know, and you know people we don't know. So like we can keep doing stuff like this, going on other people's shows, having people on our show, and expanding our reach. That would make me super happy. And then yeah, I mean, I'd love to do the events, because I think those are going to be life-changing events where people can get together and they can meet people like you, Barry. Like we're going to have you. If we do a Vegas event, you're going to come, and people that come to that event are going to get to meet you in person, and you're going to be able to impact their lives, and they're going to be able to impact your life. And, you know, being able to put people into those group situations where they can really get to know extraordinary people and become inspired by the things that extraordinary people are doing. That to me is going to be life-changing. And frankly, you know, and I don't want to puff us up, but like Jillian and I are doing things that other people want to do. And like just being around us and listening to what we've learned, because we've had to do hard things, and like we're going through these processes now, but we've done some of these things, like that's going to benefit people. So, and we have this whole range of potential ways we can help people. And that's to me what Last Life Ever is about. It's about helping people. Yes, the 22-year-old kid in college, we can give him advice based on our experiences in college. Like Jillian and I together probably have like more years of education than he's been alive. And I'm talking about like graduate education, right? I mean, I have a master's in business and a law degree, and I went to college for, 6 years before that because I'm slow. And Jillian, law school, college, between us, we have like, 25 years of college, right? So like when we're telling someone about college, we have some insight. But also like what, Jillian's saying, it's never too late. So the message can go from like, look, if you're 22, like, let's make this change now. Make the right decisions. Don't make the mistakes that we made. If you're my age, you're Jillian and you're slightly older than Jeff, then you can learn from the experiences that we've gone through recently, things that we're doing now, and we can help guide people through that. And then also, we can by talking to people that are, we had a guy, remember Dr. Jim White, Jillian? So Jim White comes on the show, and this guy's, he's an older guy, right? But he has this unique perspective. He's done all this amazing stuff. And what he said to us is, you guys are so inspirational. And it was like, what? Like this guy who's done like, he's run like billion-dollar businesses and like, and he's got like 6 best-selling books and he's done all this crazy stuff, and like, I don't even know why he bothers to like listen to us. And he's going, I love what you're doing. And the thing is, and he's saying, you're exactly right. It's not too late to start. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. And this guy has to be in his mid 70s and he's like super passionate about life. And the thing is, the difference between him and most people in their mid 70s is most people in their mid 70s have a mindset that says the best part of my life is behind me. But the reality is that's only true if you believe it. And that's what you were saying earlier about manifesting the life you want, being able to pick how your life goes. It's like, it's unreal that's the reality. That's what you said earlier. And you're so right about that. It's like almost unbelievable, but that it's true, but it's true. I chose not to have bad days. So 25 years, no bad days. That's crazy, right? Like, why would anyone choose to have bad days? Why would anyone choose at 70 to think everything that I've done in my life is already done? I'm never going to do anything positive again. That's complete crap. Like, keep doing amazing things your whole life. And there's like a story that says something like, like your goal in life should be to like do everything that you can do and pull all your energy and pour all of your energy out and crash and burn into your deathbed with nothing left. Like, if you can do that, then you're successful. Like, just burn out everything. Take all of your passion and just like throw it out there until you're done.
Love that. I love that. Well, and I love this awesome friggin', it's not an interview, a conversation, right? It's just being so cool. I hopefully it inspires people. I feel like it should. No, honestly, I feel like it should, right? Because it's just so powerful. Like, just the whole subject matter, right? It's just friggin' nuts to me, all that stuff that we talked about and what you guys talked about. So I appreciate both of you sharing that and like taking time to be on the show. Where can people find out more about both of you, Last Life Ever, all that good stuff?
Just go to our right now. The best place to go is our private Facebook group, Last Life Ever. Just search for it on Facebook. That's where we do most of our interacting, and we look forward to hanging out with all of you.
Yeah, I hang out in there all the time. And so I always tell people, Last Life Ever, private group, just join the group. We'll let you in, we promise, unless you, say you're mean or something. Because it's like two questions, right? Like, do you promise to be nice? And do you promise to try to live the best version of your life? If you say yes to those things, we're going to let you in the group. I think we might even let Barri in if he asks.
There was a third question. There was a third question when I was there. It was like, are you willing to donate $10,000 a month to Jeff and Jillian?
Oh yeah, well that was just for you because we knew you had, because you're rich and famous, so we knew that. No, it's free. Look, it's free to join. And Jillian and I are all the time doing our walking videos and all that kind of stuff. And but also, like, if you just comment on our stuff, we're going to respond. Or if you're in the group and you DM me, I always respond. Like literally, if you're in the group and you send me a direct message, I'm going to respond. Random people send me direct messages. Sometimes I ignore it, but I want to interact with our community. So join the community.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. And what is the saying that you say, Jeff? Take us out.
Just remember to live the best version of your last life ever.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.